The Young Alumni Award may be granted annually to 3 individuals by the college upon recommendation of the Alumni Board with final approval of the Board of Trustees. The selection criteria includes meeting significant challenges in the pursuit of professional goals, service to others, service to church, and alumni participation and support of McPherson College. And I'll tell you, students, these are just really, really talented young alumni, and I'd encourage you to listen to their stories and spend the time here being reflective of their lives. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of it yourselves in one of these 3. So without further ado, Rod Gieselman, would you present our first recipient?
A native of Rocky Ford, Colorado, Carolyn Masterson arrived at McPherson College just a short couple decades ago. She chose to study business and accounting, where she nobly suffered the puns and sorrows of Odelian courses. Outside of class, she served as editor of The Spectator, which she describes as a very challenging yet growing experience. She sang in the concert choir and considers the choir's European tour her favorite college memory. During her junior year, she started an internship at Farmers Alliance Insurance Company here in McPherson. In the middle of her senior year, Farmers Alliance made her an offer to work for them full-time upon graduation. She accepted the offer and, other than a short period while her husband pursued his doctorate degree, has worked there ever since in roles of continually increasing responsibility. Early in her career, she commuted to Wichita to attend night classes and earned a master's in business administration at Wichita State. Currently, she is the controller at Farmers Alliance. As the controller, she is responsible for accounting and financial reporting, budgeting, internal controls, compliance issues, and a bunch of other stuff us financial geeks can probably only get. Farmers Alliance considers her an invaluable member of the team. Carolyn is married to Dan Masterson, also a McPherson College alumni and a former Young Alumni Award recipient. Dan teaches at some other school about 10 miles north of here. Carolyn has 2 sons, Aaron, who works for John Deere Corporation in Tennessee, and Paul, who's a recent college graduate and is here with us today. Carolyn is a member of the McPherson Church of the Brethren. She has served as a church treasurer since 2012. She has also served in various roles on the church board. Carolyn served on the McPherson College Alumni Board of Directors from 2002 to 2006. She also serves on the board of directors of the Cedars in McPherson and will serve as the chair for that group in 2015. President Snyder, I present Carolyn Masterson to receive the Young Alumni Award for her service to her church, her community, and McPherson College.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to thank McPherson College for this Young Alumni Award. Thanks also to President Schneider and the Alumni Office for their hospitality, to Professor Gieselman for the introduction. I also want to congratulate the other honorees today, Carine Ullom and Barry McMillan. As I was trying to think about what to say today in regard to my experiences at McPherson College, a book that I read more recently came to mind. About 2 years ago, the Sunday school class I belonged to over here at the Church of the Brethren read the book A Million Miles in 1,000 Years by Donald Miller. In this book, I believe the author is seeking to encourage and inspire the reader to think about how they might go about building a better life story for themselves. I've been thinking about my experiences here at McPherson College, and I've realized that my years here were an important part of my life story. I received an excellent education from professors who knew me by my first name and who challenged me to think outside the box. I am thankful for the people I met here, my professors, the staff, my friends, my travels, and my experiences. I still keep in contact with friends that I met in my many years here as a student, and I hope that will be the same for you. About 31 years ago, during my junior year of college, the Vice President of Accounting at Farmers Alliance, Keith Burkhead, contacted Professor David Odell here at the college. He asked Professor Odell if he had any students who might be seeking an internship to help with a project. I'm working there today because of Professor Odell and that he recommended that I apply for this internship opportunity. I also was fortunate to meet my husband here at McPherson College, Dan Masterson, who has truly blessed my life. I'm hoping your years at McPherson College will be an important part of your life story as well, and I encourage you to plan to make the most of it. Every day is an opportunity to learn new things, to meet someone new, and to make someone else's day a better one. Donald Miller said, "Good stories are made up of people who want something, who struggle as they face challenges and work to overcome them. So don't expect it to be easy if you want a good story." I wish you the very best as you continue working on your life story. Try to make it a good one. Thank you.
So in the last hour and a half, I've had about 10 of you come up and ask me what I'm going to do to embarrass Barry. And for those of you who are expecting a roast, you're going to be sorely disappointed. I am not here today to tell you about how his parents, Bob and Barbara McMillan, talked to me about the wee buggy they had to take everywhere until his dad said until he was 18. I'm not here to tell you about how Barry used to sit in the back row and drop marbles during convocation, during President Paul Hoffman's convos, to let them roll forward during the convo. And I am definitely not here to tell you whether or not he wore boxers or briefs during his fanny runs when he lived in Fahnestock Hall. Instead, I am here to tell you a story. This is a story about how a first-grade teacher became a financial planner. It's a story for those of you out there who want to be entrepreneurs. It's a story for those of you who know absolutely with certainty what you are going to do in your careers, and it's also a story for those of you who don't have a clue. In 20 years, this is a story that could be your story. Barry McMillan came to McPherson College in the early 1990s, near the time when many of you were entering the world. While you were learning your first words and being potty trained by your parents, Barry was busy working on his degree in elementary education. When you were taking your first steps, Barry was completing the same types of general education courses that you spent time in just this morning. And as you were learning about Elmo and Teletubbies, Barry was putting his education classes to work by student teaching at Lincoln Elementary School here in McPherson. By the time you were learning to tie your shoes and packing your backpacks for kindergarten, Barry was graduating and starting his teaching career as a first-grade teacher at Soderstrom Elementary School in Lindsborg, Kansas. It's even possible that some of you might have been in one of Barry's first-grade classes. He says that he taught first grade because he loved children and their excitement and potential. He liked that they came running into the school instead of running out of it. And all the time that I've known Barry, I've never heard him talk about himself as an entrepreneur, but that is exactly what he is. He is both a social and a business entrepreneur. As a first-grade teacher, Barry brought the concept of folder math to Soderstrom Elementary. This was a revolutionary way of allowing children to learn and work through their own personally designed folder of math activities at their own pace and master mathematic concepts. Perhaps this is why he was honored in only his second year of teaching as the Teacher of the Year. By the end of the 1990 school year, though, Barry had decided that it was time for a change, and though he hadn't lost his passion for teaching, he was ready to pursue another passion that had been bubbling under the surface for many years. While many guys his age read car, news, or entertainment magazines, he was busy reading Fortune and Kiplinger. When a colleague found him sitting in the teacher's lounge at school reading annual financial reports and perspectives, she asked him, "What are you doing here?" As a student of the liberal arts, Barry had continued to be a lifelong learner and used his self-educated knowledge in finance to take a leap of faith and to leave his teaching career in the school system. He decided to be a different kind of teacher, one that would help people know how to better manage their money and investments. Now, Barry shared with me that there were many people who doubted his ability to be able to make this transition, but he said simply, It's because of my education elementary background that I am successful as a financial advisor. Many adults act like a first grader with their money. So it was just a matter of transferring the instructional skills that I'd learned into a different setting. Barry opened his own franchise with Ameriprise Financial and became a financial advisor. He used his teaching skills to educate clients about what they have and how they could best use it. And this education-based approach has been a success. As a financial advisor, he has won the Mercury Award, the Career Development Conference Award, the President's Award for Quality of Advice, and my favorite, the Client Satisfaction Award for achieving 100% rankings in client satisfaction. Now, although this is all quite impressive, this is not the only reason that Barry was selected as one of this year's recipients of the Alumni Award. It is also because of his service to the communities around him. He knows that when you make a better world for your neighbors, you make a better world for yourself too. Barry has helped to found the McPherson County chapter of Habitat for Humanity while he was still a student at McPherson College. He also helped to found the Smoky Valley Community Foundation. He's been a member of Kiwanis. He helped to clean up and rebuild after the major tornado disaster in Moore, Oklahoma. He served on the Smoky Valley Car Show Committee, and he's given time to one of my favorite summer camps, Camp Mount Herman in Tonganoxie, Kansas. In fact, it was at Camp Mount Herman that I met Barry as my camp counselor some 25 years ago. I also won't tell you about the songs that I've heard him serenading girls with outside of cabins. But one of my personal favorite service projects that Barry has been a central figure for is the Viking Valley Playground in Lynchburg, Kansas. To gain interest and support for the project, Barry and his co-chair, Sharon Schrog, took out an ad in the paper and invited people to come to a community meeting. The ad said, "Come and learn about the local playground project and see what is going to happen to your taxes." That ad brought in quite a crowd. Barry and his team showed the audience the existing equipment, the dangers of it, and talked about how a new playground could benefit the children of their community. Then they delivered the kicker. There would be no taxes collected for the project. It was a volunteer project being headed up by Barry, Sharon, and a steering committee of over 24 people. It is this sort of genius that makes Barry such an effective entrepreneur. They found a way to pitch the idea, and once the community understood what it was all about, they were hooked. They donated. The community gave over $150,000. They gave time, energy, and supplies. The project not only provided a safe and imaginative place for kids to play, but it brought the community together. It's one of my favorite projects that he's worked on because it's one of my children's favorite local attractions to go to on a Saturday afternoon. So there you have it. No roast, just a simple story, just a few chapters of a simple story, and I imagine that there are many more chapters to go. So now you know the first few chapters of Barry McMillan's life, how he became a financial advisor from being a first grade teacher. President Schneider, it is my extreme pleasure to present to you Barry McMillan as one of this year's Young Alumni Award recipients.
What a good-looking crowd. Thank you. I'm excited that you actually consider me young. That's the first. I'm honored that I'm receiving this award. It's very touching. I can't name all of the people, all of the professors and members that have touched my life, but I do want to thank everyone that came out to support me here today. I do want to recognize my family. My parents drove 3 hours to be here. They told me they were very proud of me, but I'm proud of them. I'm up here today because of them. They taught me about hard work, about being a good student, and about helping others. Michelle, my wife of 21 years, she does not want me to say anything about her. Like the fact that we met on a geology trip, McPherson College interterm geology trip to Big Bend National Park, and there were 13 male students and her, and I beat the other 12 out. she supports me. She supports me with my endeavors. She's always behind the scenes. A few years ago at homecoming, President Snyder came up to my wife's parents, also McPherson College alumni, and he said, "You know, Barry really outkicked his punt coverage when it comes to getting Michelle to marry him." So enough said. My two daughters, Elena, who is a 7th grader, and Kira, who is a 4th grader, are here today. I hope they're proud of their dad. They don't have school today, so I thought this would be a good activity for them to experience. I hope it increases their odds that they'll go to McPherson College. We tell our daughters, we'd like you to go to McPherson College, but you can go anywhere you want except Bethany College. I've been asked to share my thoughts about what you can do in your lives. So I was asked to share what you could do. I'm not a professor in your major, or your academic advisor, or your parents, so you have to decide on your own. The college might regret giving me an open microphone. As my wife says, don't ask for Barry's opinion unless you really want it. So here we go. Here's my top 10 list. 1, be present in the moment. Focus, listen, observe. Take a few seconds now to just take a breath and focus. Number 2, fully engage in your college life. This is an awesome time in your life. Do everything you can. Be involved with every group you can. Join a group. Start a group. Don't stay in your dorm room. Don't be on your phone or on your computers. Someone in this audience should organize a electronics-free cruise for the campus. So here's what I mean. Michelle and I took a cruise to the Caribbean for our 21st anniversary this summer. When we boarded the ship, everyone was on their phones and on their computers. As we left the port of Miami, Florida, people were still on their electronics, but we got far enough out into the ocean that there was no reception. So people started putting their phones down. By the second day, no phones, no computers. People were talking, engaging, playing, and laughing. So your event doesn't have to be a 7-day electronics-free event, but make it a time frame that's meaningful for you and just really engage, fully engage in your college life. 3, make a difference in someone else's life. Be the one. Be the strength they don't have. Be the smile they need. Be the hug they need. Number 4, realize college is an opportunity for you. My parents didn't get the opportunity to go to college. I did. My cousin who drowned when he was a senior in high school didn't get the opportunity to go to college. I did. I have no idea about your situation, but you should walk out of here saying, I can change the world. You need to say that to yourself. Go to your next class and just be totally involved. Freak out your professor. Number 5, study hard, work hard, play hard. You need to do all of these. Sometimes you need to keep them separate, depending on when your classes and tests are. Sometimes they can go together, so figure the right combination for you. Number 6, whether you believe you're going to fail or you believe you're going to succeed, you're right. Let me repeat that. Whether you believe you're going to fail or you believe you're going to succeed, you're right. Think about that. Number 7, get the book, The 5 Love Languages. Have it read before the end of the year. Talk to your significant other and see how it changes your world. Number 8, remember the Bible verse, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Number 9, McPherson College's former president, Paul Hoffman, used to say something like this. McPherson College doesn't just prepare you for your first job, it prepares you for your last. My McPherson College prep can be summarized by saying, see, a first grade teacher can make it. So the short story is, loved teaching, taught for 5 years, decided to make the career change. Those students were like our children. We hadn't started our family, so switched careers. And when I started, it would have been Salina, Wichita, Tulsa, and Oklahoma City, and we did satellite trainings. We had to introduce ourselves, and I had to say Salina. So I'm Barry from Salina, and I'm a first grade teacher, where a lot of the majors were business and accounting and so forth. So they would laugh at me. So one of the vice presidents would get on the TV and she'd say, don't laugh at Barry, he's got the heart and soul, and he'll do the right thing for our clients, and he can learn what he needs to do. So there was a gentleman that started right after me that we were in training together, and I tried to work with him, but he had graduated from K-State, could have sat for his CFP, which is Certified Financial Planning license or certificate, and great guy, but he was afraid of asking questions and afraid of not knowing things. And so he did like to pick on me in class and say things like, gosh, I don't know why anybody would hire you. You know, you're just a teacher. And I'd say, well, just like parent-teacher conferences, here's where you are, here's where you want to go, and let's create a roadmap to get there, and let's do that. And then he'd say, I don't know how anybody like you could give quality advice. And I said, well, I'm learning. I've got a good background. So, like Becky said, I did okay. I did okay at the beginning, and I saw him a couple years later. He made it about 6 months in the industry. And so I saw him a couple years later at a Home Depot, and we were saying hi to each other, and he's like, I can't believe you made it. And I said, well, that's funny. After you left, I got the Mercury Award for the first 6 months, being the best advisor in the first 6 months, and then the Career Development Conference Award for the first year. And then I got the President's Award for Quality of Advice, and then I entered the national case competition of all the advisors in the United States, and I was one of the top 4. And I see first grade teachers can make it. And I could also say, instead of C, first grade teachers can make it, I can also say C, McPherson College grads can make it, or C, liberal arts students can make it. Number 10, be passionate about life. It is said if you do what you're passionate about, you will never work a day in your life. Ask yourself, am I passionate about my major? Do I light up when I think about it? Could I be doing something in my major during a really tough day and still love it? If you aren't passionate about what you're doing, change that. Find something that you're passionate about. So I'm going to break the phone rule because my notes are actually on here. Let me read you part of Ben Stein's CBS Morning News, Happy People versus Unhappy People op-ed from June the 13th of 2010. Eyes focused here. So this is Ben Stein. A few days ago, I asked my shrink, a super smart guy, how he would generally divide up the people that are happy in life from those who are not. He answered like a shot. The unhappy ones, he said, are people who let their parents or their family talk them into doing something for a career that wasn't really them. They are people who wanted to be writers or performers and decided instead to take the cautious route and go to accountancy school or law school or dental school. Now, he said, they're well into their middle age and they make a decent living, but they just don't like what they do. What they do, you might say, is not for them. It's not who they are or who they wanted to be. It's too late for most of them to try to change. And they haven't built up a lifetime of experiences and contacts in the field that they want to be in, so he said, they just come into my office and complain. And what about the happy ones, I asked him. What did they do? My shrink answered that again like a shot. They made the decision to live. He said, and those are his exact words, they decided to do what their hearts told them to do what was in them to do. They took risks, and they took chances, and they tried a lot of different things until they got where they wanted to be. This very often means working incredibly hard and living on the edge, but it gets you where you can look back on your life and say, it wasn't wasted. I left the doctor's office with my brain on fire. His advice is spectacular. Unless you're born rich, or even if you are, you have to earn your keep. That's for sure. But to decide to live, that makes a lot of difference in this difficult world. That's it. Choose to live a life that you want to live, not one that's safe or someone else thinks you should do. Decide to live. Thank you for this award. I wish you all the best.
Good afternoon. I'm Paula Vincent, also a graduate of McPherson College, and it's my distinct pleasure this afternoon to introduce another of the Young Alumni Award winners, Carine Ullom. Last winter, I had the opportunity to read a book called One Word. Maybe some of you have read it. The premise of the book is that if you pick one word for a year and focus on that word, it will help you move things in your life in the direction that you want. It'll serve as motivation. It will help you accomplish things that make a difference. As I was preparing my remarks about how best to introduce you to Carine, it came to me that there is one word that I could use that would tell you many, many things about Carine, and that one word is ambassador. When I think about Carine, she began as an ambassador of scholarship and learning. Even as a student, she distinguished herself here at McPherson, graduating magna cum laude. I'm sure that meant that she made some sacrifices along the way, maybe chose some study hours versus some other activities that some of us might have found fun when we were in college. She was nominated and selected as a member of the Who's Who among American colleges and universities. She didn't stop there, however. She continued her learning as she has throughout her life, completing her master's in German at the University of Wyoming, and currently, as some of you may know, she is working on her doctorate degree. In 1989, she was honored with a Fulbright grant and studied abroad in Germany. She has one of those talents that I've often thought would be a great thing to work on. She's actually done it. I still think about it. She's fluent in more than one language and uses that in her work. As the Director of Academic Technology at Ottawa University, she finds creative ways to engage learners of all ages through innovative uses of instructional technology, including the development of online courses. One of Carine's colleagues had this to say about her: "I admire Carine for her energy, her ability to keep abreast of emerging trends in academic technology, and her ability to never be hesitant about asking questions and making adjustments that will improve the user experience. And a true ambassador of scholarship and learning." And while this is an impressive list, I would also characterize Carine as an ambassador of participation and service. She's given her time in a multitude of ways that make her community a better place to be. She started early in her career as a volunteer with the Brethren Volunteer Service. She and her family have hosted international students, and I believe they currently have a student living with them. She has served as a member of the Board of Directors for the Habitat of Humanity, and additionally, she has dedicated over 15 years of service right here at McPherson College as a member of the Alumni Board and the Board of Trustees. Her love of the college is always evident, and I can attest to the fact that as a fellow trustee, we benefit from her expertise in higher education, her insights from a global perspective, and even her very meticulous writing and editing skills. Please join me in congratulating what I believe is an incredible example of an ambassador of scholarship, participation, and service. President Snyder, I present to you Carine Ullom.
Thank you, Paula, and thank you, President Schneider. Thank you to the Alumni Board for nominating me for this award. I'm honored and humbled. And welcome to the faculty and to the students, and thank you for coming on a Friday afternoon, on a beautiful Friday afternoon, to hear from some graduates of this fine institution. And like Barry, I was surprised. I received my first AARP card in the mail not long ago, and being utterly shocked that it was in my mailbox, I'm really delighted to be considered a young alum. And I'm sure that you all must be wondering, well, if she's young, then what are we? I mean, after all, like in 3 weeks, I will be 53. So that must mean you guys are toddlers if I'm young. Anyway, as anyone who's watched an awards ceremony knows, it's customary to thank the people who have helped you along the way, along your life's journey. And I'm not going to bore you with the long list of people who deserve my thanks, although I really do want to thank them. But I hope you'll indulge me to just give a quick shout out to some 3 important individuals who are here today. First, my mom, Ellie Ullom, and I can't see you, but I know you're out there. Her bravery in coming to America as a young bride from the Netherlands meant that I would live a life of awareness of people whose ways of being were very different from those of the dominant culture. Thank you, Mom, for always being there for me. I also want to say thank you to Dr. Jan van Asselt. without whose encouragement I probably would not have spent my junior year in Marburg, Germany, and subsequently applied for the Fulbright and lived in Germany a second time. So thank you, Jan van Asselt, for believing in me. And finally, I want to give a big shout out to my husband, Dr. Stephen Folk, my husband of 27 years. I don't know where you are, but give him a wave. When people say I couldn't have done this without the help of so-and-so, they mean it. Steve took care of our two boys through 8 years of McPherson College Alumni Board meetings, 9 years of Board of Trustee meetings, which meant being away from home multiple days, multiple times per year, 7 years of Habitat for Humanity Board meetings, monthly subcommittee meetings, volunteer events for which I had obligated myself. He supported my desire for our family to try to help a young boy whom I fell in love with as a substitute teacher when this little boy was only 8 years old. He's 18 now. For 10 years, we served as Eddie's mentor, family, and instead of playing golf with his buddies or going to the Chiefs football game on the weekends, Steve was there, making sure the laundry was getting done, groceries were being bought, meals were being made and cleaned up after, and kids were being taxied to their various play dates. There is absolutely no doubt that this award would not have been possible without the tireless support of my devoted husband, whom I met, like the other two, right here at McPherson College in 1983. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Steve. So McPherson College students, what does a woman who graduated 30 years ago have to say to the student body? I could pretend to be cool or hip or whatever and find a zippy quote or a lyric from Jay-Z or Kendrick Lamar or Beyonce or The Weeknd or some other group I know nothing about. But I'll skip that and I could try to impress upon you some wisdom that I've surely gained in the 30 years since I last sat where you're now sitting. Believe it or not, I sat right there where you're sitting in Brown Auditorium. But instead of trying to do that, I'm going to break the cell phone rule too and ask you to take out your cell phones. That is, you probably already have them out, but this time it's legit. So keep them out, because in a minute, I'm going to ask you to send me a tweet. We're going to use the official McPherson Homecoming 2014 hashtag. Do you know what it is? Well, now you do. It's MC Homecoming 14. Got it? MC Homecoming 14. So I have a question and a challenge for each of you. You heard Dr. Schneider talk about, Dr. Schneider, soon to be Dr. Schneider, President Schneider, talk about community and how homecoming is a big representation of the community that is McPherson College. What are the boundaries of your community? What slice of planet Earth matters to you? Are you all about your street or your block or the neighborhood you grew up in? Your town, your city, your high school? What is it that you care enough about to defend and care for? Do you care about truancy or poverty or domestic violence in your community, or inequality and racism and hate crimes in your state? What about access to education and health care for all in your country? Does your concern and awareness about your community end there? Or are you a global citizen too? Does what you do here in Kansas have anything to do with toxic waste dumps in Ghana? Does what you do back home in California or Texas or Arkansas or Missouri have anything to do with global climate change? Are you following the Ebola epidemic? Do you know who ISIS is? Some people call them ISIL. Have you heard the latest news about Boko Haram? Did you know that modern slavery is alive and well? Do you know where the world's largest garbage dump is? Did you know it's not on land, it's actually an island? It's an island of your trash and mine in the ocean. Never before have we all had so much access and such easy access to one another in all corners of the globe. In fact, I'm guessing that a lot of you have played online games with people from other countries. Never before has it been so easy to see and understand the effects of our actions on others who live on the proverbial other side of the globe. We have no more excuses for not knowing and not caring about what goes on out there. My friends, out there is right here. At the end of the day, we all breathe the same air, we drink the same water, and we eat the same food. No longer is your neighborhood confined to a specific place with obvious boundaries. Your generation is the generation of global citizenship. Your generation has instant access to people in other lands who hold points of view and values different from your own. You have no excuse not to connect with them, not to know about what's happening in your collective, common, global neighborhood. Did you know there are over 40 major international newspapers published in English, online? And unlike most of the planet's citizens, you don't even have to learn another language to find out what's going on and what the other countries are thinking about. And it's all available to you for free. Have you ever read a non-US based news source, say the British Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, or the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation? Google them. They're easy to find. Do you follow people on Twitter who make you think? What do the people you follow on Instagram do for your global awareness? In a very short time, you will be an alum of this great institution. Are you ready to take your place as the global citizen that you are? So future graduates of McPherson College, here's my challenge to you. I want you to send a tweet using the MC Homecoming 14 hashtag and another hashtag, Global Citizen. I've already sent out a few tweets under these two hashtags to get us started. And if you want to give me a mention, I'm at Carine Ullom, right there in your program, first name, last name, nothing fancy. And I want you to share your thoughts about global citizenship. Are you a global citizen? Should you be? What's the difference between being a global citizen, after all, we all inhabit the same blue ball, and practicing global citizenship? You learned about citizenship in school, right? Does it apply to you as a global citizen? So send out a tweet and tell us, what will you do in the next week to practice global citizenship? Will you reach out to someone who's different from you, who's from another country? Will you read a publication that didn't originate in the US? Will you plan to travel to study abroad? Will you welcome a foreigner into your home? What will you do in the next week, the next month, the next year, for the rest of your life? I'm looking forward to reading your tweets and having a conversation with you on Twitter. And I look even more forward to reading about how graduates of McPherson College are embracing global citizenship and making a positive difference in the world. Thank you. And you can put away your phones for the next speaker.